I'm live. All right. Forgive me if I have to read a little bit from the introduction. I haven't invested in a teleprompter yet, so little steps. You do what you can with what you've got. But on today's motorcycle therapy, I'm back in the garage. This is the same garage that Elle and I were in for 2 weeks during our quarantine when we shipped home from Uruguay to Canada. And we're back in the garage. If you missed that video, by the way, in which Elle and I flew home, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Anyway, I'm back in the garage. I'll tell you why that is. I'll talk about what our life has been like since our quarantine ended. And I'll talk about our upcoming road trip to collect our motorcycles from Vancouver. In today's chat, I'll tell you how you can get one of these motorcycle therapy shirts. This is brand new. Or one of my books. And I'm also going to talk about my future plans for YouTube and writing. Some of you have been asking if there will be another book about this trip. And well, I'll talk about that. And maybe I don't even know myself. We'll discuss that together. And finally, I'm going to talk about a recent, what I'm calling a personal micro disaster. I'll talk about that kind of towards the end of the live stream. And of course, I'll get to some of your questions, so type them into the chat box. And probably some of you are thinking right off the hop, where's Elle? And is that the micro disaster that I'm talking about? Nope, Elle and I are doing just fine. Elle is at work right now. She is teaching some students here in Calgary how to ride motorcycles. That's her job, one of her final shifts. And after that, she is going to join me in about an hour or so. And then we're together with Brian Bailey going to hop in his car and drive all the way to Vancouver to collect our motorcycles. So if you've been following our journey, you'll know why that is. We got stuck in Uruguay for about 5 months because of COVID-19. The plan, of course, was to ride from Canada down to Ushuaia in Argentina and then ride all the way back. But COVID-19 kind of threw a wrench in that plan. And our motorcycles are arriving in Vancouver on October the 18th. Is that right? September 18th. What month are we in? September 18th. That's when the motorcycles are arriving in Vancouver, and we're heading out to get them. Now, as you are aware, that might involve a little bit of snow on the ride back. So we're kind of playing it by ear to see if we can, make this a successful ride home. It would feel great to actually arrive back in Canmore riding our motorcycles as opposed to having them on the back of a trailer, but we'll just see how that goes. So that's why I'm in the garage. I'm waiting for Elle to return. And it's also a little bit linked to that personal micro disaster that I was telling you about. Why wouldn't I just be in my condo in Canmore? I'll talk about that. In more happy news, I got my website back up and running. So with the help of some motorcycle friends, motorcycletherapy.com is back up and running, and all of my books are available there, including Motorcycle Messengers 2. Not many people have that book yet, so now's your chance to go and grab that. And of course, the t-shirts are there as well. So if you want to head over to motorcycletherapy.com, you can grab all that good stuff. You know what, let's just get right to that micro disaster, because that's probably the most interesting thing that's happened since we've arrived back in Canada. Elle and I, we had to quarantine in this garage, and I made a video about that. Like I said, you can find that in the link below. And then after we got out of quarantine, finally went and got a haircut, doing the safety precautions and masked up. We found someone who was working out of her home, so we didn't have to deal with crowds or anything. And we took all the necessary precautions. And while Elle was getting her hair cut, by the way, next time you see her, compliment her on her hair. It's beautiful. I got an email stating that my condo building was experiencing more trouble. If you've been listening along with Adventure Rider Radio, going way back, I was talking about some financial problems that I was having due to this purchase of a condo. Well, the hammer came down again, and I got a $13,000 cash call. So I was going to just coast in under the wire, return home to Canada, broke but happy, and then get back to work, and then everything would be fine. But now I found myself suddenly dealing with an extra $13,000 of debt. So, by the way, don't play a little violin for me. This is not a telethon. I'm not asking for donations. I'm not trying to raise money. This is a problem I'm going to deal with, and I'm going to get through it, and I will persevere and make it through the other side. Yeah, it's not like a health problem or the loss of a loved one or anything like that. In the grand scheme of things, it's a tiny thing, but it does add to stress. And that's also why I'm in the garage right now, because of this surprise extra $13,000 bill. Elle and I scrambled to find renters for my condo. So while we're going to Vancouver, there are some people in there right now, and they're paying us a fair price for it, and we're slowly going to begin to claw back from this adventure. So that's it. Again, no violins. This is not a telethon. It's just I'm just being honest with what's happening. Otherwise, we're healthy and we're happy, and I'm really excited to get to Vancouver and pick up our motorcycles. That should be good. However, now, if you ever did want to buy a t-shirt or a book, go to my website. Now is a great time. I would appreciate the support now more than ever before. But no violins. This hoodie, by the way, is a little different. This one is literally the only motorcycle therapy hoodie that currently exists in the world, and you can only find it on my Etsy store, which is linked in the description below. It's a little bit expensive. That's why I'm not talking about it too much. I myself have to pay a lot for them, so unfortunately, if you want a hoodie, then you can go over to my Etsy store, linked below, and you can find one there if you so desire. Now, on to happier things. What is happening with my writing? A lot of you are asking me if there's going to be another book about this trip. And I have always kind of dodged that question. And maybe I'm even dodging it now because, to be honest, I don't know. I know that after this big, long adventure, being stuck in Uruguay, then making it home, quarantining, and then this cash call, everything seems to be happening all at once, and I'm a little bit stressed out, and I'm also really kind of tired. So on the days when I do have time off, I find myself being pretty lethargic, and can't really use that as an excuse because writing is always difficult, even for people who do it a lot. So I know that no matter what happens, if I do write another book, it's going to be a difficult slog, and we'll see how this winter goes. I have a full-time job again, which I'm grateful to have. It's recession-proof. I work as a garbage man for the town of Canmore, and there will always be garbage and people abusing the system and things like this. So yeah, I'll be working full-time hours and then trying to get some creative projects done on the side. I'm just reading the comments here. Thanks for the support. Yeah. So speaking of creative projects, I've also got a YouTube thing that I'm doing as well. So those two projects are sometimes complementary and sometimes they're a bit at odds. They require a lot of the same creative energy, but there's a lot of satisfaction to both of them as well. Now I have to decide if I'm focusing on YouTube or if I'm focusing on writing. I think naturally I'm more of a writer than I'm a filmmaker, but I am also kind of under the gun with YouTube because I have set myself a goal, and that goal is to get myself monetized on YouTube. If you watch my videos now, you'll notice that there are no ads at the beginning and no little pop-up ads and things like that, and that's great as a user experience goes. But if I do have those ads at the beginning and then little pop-ups in the middle, that means that I am monetized and that YouTube pays me a little bit. Small YouTubers don't make much money, and I'm not expecting this to replace my full-time job, but I am curious if I could supplement my income with a YouTube income stream. Now, to do that, the bar is set pretty high by YouTube. So I have to have a minimum of 1,000 subscribers on YouTube So if you have not subscribed yet and you want to help me out, please go and subscribe now. But that's just the starting point. After that, I have to get 4,000 watch hours in one calendar year. And to put that in perspective, I've put up now about 20 videos on my YouTube channel, and I currently have almost 1,000 subscribers, but not quite. But I've only got about 1,000 watch hours. So in the next, by April 1, I need to produce at least another 25 or 30 videos, and that takes time and that takes effort. And I've got to generate some more subscribers and watch hours. Now, again, I'm not making this a charity, right? I don't want anyone to go onto my YouTube channel and just put on a playlist and then leave for work. Well, actually, I'm not saying I don't do that. I'm just saying that's not how I want to achieve my goal. I want to achieve it by actually producing videos that I like and that you like and that people respond to. And I want to kind of get there organically. And the deadline is on, so April 1st of 2021. But again, with my full-time job and my weekends kind of for repair and rest and relaxation, plus writing projects on the go, it will be a very long uphill slog to get there. I think I can do it, and I know I can do it if I put my mind to it. But right now, I haven't made that full commitment yet. Jazz and Bikes, I love the teasers. Yes, well, I mean, that's how I try to get people to stay and watch to the end. Any other questions you guys have? Speaking of YouTube, by the way, a friend of mine named Ed March, you might have heard of him. He also has set himself some lofty YouTube goals. He's trying to get to 100,000 subscribers because he wants a little YouTube play button. So he's a friend of mine, although I haven't seen him in a good long while. Head on over to Ed March's channel. I think it's called C90 Adventures, and watch his videos. He just put up a new one. You will laugh and you will enjoy those videos. And I kind of aspire to reaching the quality that he is producing right now. I'm far from it because I'm new. Well, and also he's just naturally talented and he's funny. So check him out, subscribe to his channel if you can. Let's help him out. And if you don't know who he is, I've linked in the description below to an interview that I did with Ed years ago when he was traveling through Canada with his then girlfriend. And they were on 2 Honda C90s, and they were riding through Canada and Alaska in the wintertime. If you watch that video, please be a little bit forgiving of my style. 2 things. I was, at the time, slightly inebriated. Also, I was just learning how to play the guitar, and I wanted to show off that new skill. Plus, I was very new at making YouTube videos. So the quality isn't awesome, but Ed March and Rachel Lasham, still very entertaining guests. So check that out. Jazz and Bike says he would cross the border and say hi in Vancouver except the pandemic. Yes, that's the other thing. So like I say, as soon as I get off this live chat, I'm packing up my computer. Elle should be back from work. I've got a spare battery that I'm charging that I took out of El Toro, which is my 82 Honda. We're going to throw everything into duffel bags, load up into Brian's car, and head to Vancouver. A few months ago, if you were driving through Vancouver, or like through British Columbia, and you stopped somewhere, if you had Alberta license plates on your vehicle, like we currently do, people were actually getting hassled because, you know, with COVID, trying to limit travel to necessary travel only, but nobody really knows why you're there. Are you there just for a vacation, just kind of taking this this pandemic not very seriously? They don't know. So we're going to go into BC. I'm not actually expecting any problems, but we do have Alberta license plates. We're traveling all the way across British Columbia to Vancouver. We'll see how that goes. Fingers crossed. Yes, so someone just watched 3 questions with Ed. I know, I'm embarrassed by it. I'm leaving that video up there because people like Ed March. I'm hoping that my game will improve with YouTube. I'm sure it has already. I hope you'll agree if you watch some of my other videos linked below. So David Mann, what camera am I shooting with today? The lighting is great. Okay, so today I'm just filming this off of my MacBook Pro. So it's the in-computer camera. In order for me to get really organized and start shooting this with a different camera setup, I've got to keep on learning. You can't, as far as I know, I think I have to get to 1,000 subscribers before I can tap into some other live streaming functionality. For instance, I can't live stream with my mobile phone unless I get 1,000 subscribers. So again, not to beat a dead horse, but if you do want to subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate that. That would help me improve my live streaming game as well. And yeah, that canoe lighting is pretty awesome. Behind me here, you can see that's El Toro right here. That's my 1982 Honda CB 750 Custom. I bought that when I was 19 years old. Then I sold it to my dad. Then he rode it all over Canada mostly, and then the States. And then when he died, I kind of put it back together. And with the help of a few of my mechanic friends, thank you, Neville Stowe and John, we rebuilt the engine, and the bike is running pretty well now. And then behind El Toro, you see Brian's two 1972 BMW motorcycles. So yeah, the garage that I'm in smells powerfully of gasoline. I'm getting a little bit woozy and lightheaded, but I think that's just because I'm yelling into a camera. And as far as the lights go, it's just a standard, I've got them at an angle so that I'm not creating any shadows or things like that. On my other YouTube videos, though, that I was doing throughout Central America and South America, a lot of it was just done with an old, outdated iPhone. And then I had a Canon kind of weatherproof point and shoot. And then Elle had a GoPro. I had GoPros, but I kept on smashing them. So it was really footage that was cobbled together. And you can tell, I'm going to try to continue to make travel videos from the footage that I have collected on this trip. But, you know, I can only do so much with what I've collected. Going forward, I'm going to get better equipment. But right now, I'm just doing what I can with what I got. Stuart says, bring back tub time. I never will bring back tub time. For those of you who don't know what tub time is, I think I still have some of them up on my YouTube channel. That was when I had the great idea of interviewing people in a bathtub. The goal was to keep on getting a person who was slightly more famous and then more famous again until finally I had Bill Murray in the bathtub. I can't say that that goal is completely dead, but I think I'm focusing on other things right now. Crittermoto says it should be better now that, yeah, I think the panic has subsided a little bit. Oh, 9 Minute Moto Film Festival just subscribed. Thank you, Neville. Again, shout out to Neville for helping me so much with rebuilding El Toro. What's John's last name again, the mechanic in Bragg Creek? Paskett, right? He rebuilt the engine. And Jasmine Bike says, what's the first TLC the KLR gets? Well, if you have watched some of my other videos, you have seen Elle pull starting me a lot with her little tow rope and her BMW in front. My battery is shot. So I took the battery out of El Toro here and I just put it on a charger. It's done charging. So I'm going to put a brand new battery into El Toro. And you know, I probably should immediately change the oil and check the air filter and all that kind of stuff, but we'll probably just ride them all the way home before we get to that. Of course, check the air pressure and the tires and things like that. I'm a little bit concerned about checking the air filter because I had kind of a high speed-ish crash in Chile. I think I talked about it on the last live stream. I haven't done a video about that yet, but I was riding this gravel road in Chile on the way back from Ushuaia, and I don't know how fast I was going, but I do know that it was between 40 kilometers an hour and 70 kilometers an hour. And I can't tell how fast I was going because the road was so wobbly that I knew I was within that range, up and down and up and down. And I did watch my KLR flip a few times, which I think leads me to believe that I was closer to 60 kilometers an hour. Anyway, all that to say the luggage rack is all banged up and I haven't been able to get the side panels off of my bike since then. So yeah, Typical Jeremy story. Just don't check your air filter in the meantime. I know. Some of you have just switched off right now and have unsubscribed from my channel. I can feel it. But anyway, I'm going to do some maintenance to get the thing running. Jonathan Rudd, did you find your third greatest? Oh yes, did I find my third greatest guitar solo of all time? Well, of course, the first. This is referring to a wine-fueled tweet that I did the other night. Of course, the first two guitar solos in rock and roll history are number one, "Comfortably Numb," Pink Floyd. That's number one. Very few people will dispute that. And number two, and I will arm wrestle anyone who disagrees, whatever you think of this artist, Zakk Wylde on "No More Tears" by Ozzy Osbourne. That is number two. And there's a bunch of faster guitar solos and more screaming, menacing guitar solos, but those are my 1 and 2, and I think they should be your 1 and 2 also. But no, I haven't figured out on who is the third best guitar solo. There's a lot of good. Actually, you know what? Let's go with U2. Is it "Where the Streets Have No Name"? The guitar solo is like a non-solo. So like there's a space for a guitar solo, and the Edge just keeps on playing his open chords or whatever he's doing. And I think that's the third best because it fits the song perfectly. And he could have done a better solo or a faster one or a more impressive one. It was the 80s after all. That's what you were supposed to do. But I think the solo that matches the song gets points for me. Okay, Jazz and Bikes, Nothing by Joe Satriani. I'm sorry. I appreciate his musicianship and his talent, absolutely. But I'm going to say no. I'm sorry. Sorry, Jazz and Bikes. How long will it take to get to Vancouver and back with the bikes? Well, we have a complicated situation. Elle forgot that she made herself available to work today. So we were supposed to have left yesterday, Saturday, but she got booked for work teaching students how to ride motorcycles. So that put us back basically 48 hours. No problem for me, no problem for Elle, because I have to be back at work on October 1st, so no skin off my nose. But our friend Brian Bailey has to work on Monday. Now he can work remotely, so anywhere there's an internet connection, he can set up. He's a music therapist, among other things. He's also just a great gig-playing musician. He does all the music, by the way, in our YouTube videos. So if you haven't seen any of those, go check them out and check out his Instagram. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so now we're in a rush. So Elle gets done work at like 2:15, and then she'll be here at like 3, and then we'll pack up. And then we have to basically drive all the way to Vancouver, get settled into Brian's son's apartment, get a few hours of sleep, and then Brian has to wake up and perform music online. So we're going to basically drive through the night. It's not that crazy of a drive, but let's say we're towing a trailer and we've got a few stops to make along the way. Because of that, it could be anywhere between 12 and 15 hours. And then we don't get the bikes until the 18th. So we'll be sitting there kind of biding our time for a little bit while Brian plays music. Elle and I will either explore Vancouver a little bit, or we'll do some just reading. We'll stress about money, because that's what's currently on my mind. If you missed it earlier, I told you about my personal micro disaster. Again, no telethons, no violins, but I had an unexpected condo expense of $13,000. So not only am I broke, but I'm below broke by $13,000, which is brand new territory for me. I've never in my life been in debt. So I'll be stressed about that, while at the same time just trying to remind myself that I am healthy with people that I love, and all of them are healthy. So grand scheme, that's why I call it a micro disaster. It's just something that I'm worried about now. And I'm sorry, I'm off topic again. We pick up the bikes on the 18th. Hopefully everything is intact. I put in a new battery. We do all the maintenance that I was just telling you about. And then we ride home. Now, if the weather is good, and we're really hoping it is, we're going to actually turn this into a fun return journey. We'll do some camping in British Columbia. Again, not making light of this global pandemic. We will do so safely. We won't meander too far off of our necessary path, but it would be nice to have a campfire or two if there are no fire bans and if we can socially and physically distance properly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All three of us are taking this pandemic pretty seriously because we have people in our lives who are, you know, in a vulnerable population. So, yeah, I think we'll be back in Canmore, hopefully on the 23rd of September or the 24th of September. 23rd, I think, is what we're aiming for. So I hope that answers your question. Bragg Creek Power Sports is the name of John Paskett's shop. That's right. He rebuilt the engine on El Toro, did a fantastic job. When Crittermoto says, when is Brian releasing some new music, by the way? Well, that's a great question. I see him right now. I suppose I could call him over here and ask. He's carrying his guitar. I'm gonna get it right from the horse's mouth. But he kind of does things a little bit differently. He only sells CDs like on his Instagram profile. So if you want, someone was asking Brian Bailey, when is Brian Bailey going to release new music? That's the camera right there.
When I feel like it. No, I will. Yeah, I've got some stuff on the go.
I'm like pulling away from Brian because I want to socially distance, but we're gonna be in the same car for like how many hours?
12 probably.
Yeah, so I guess I can just relax and lean in and be okay with Brian because there he is. Oh, this makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
New music. He will probably announce it on his Instagram profile if he ever does release it.
I will. Yeah.
So check that out. It's linked in the description below. What else have I not told you about? So I told you about my website, motorcycletherapy.com. It's back online. If you order a book or a t-shirt from there now, it'll take me a couple of weeks because I'm gone to Vancouver, but I will send that out to you as soon as I can. This hoodie, like I say, is only available at my Etsy store. It's a little bit expensive. I have to admit that. So if nobody buys them, I understand. But I'll link to that below. Subscribers on my YouTube channel, I'm trying to get to 1,000 plus 4,000 watch hours by April 1 of 2021. So I've got my work cut out for me. And can I do that while maintaining a full-time job and while doing writing projects as well? Side note, Motorcycle Mojo magazine is coming out with my newest article. So watch for that. I think it's the next one, but I'm not sure. It might be the next one or the next two. Speaking of YouTube, trying to get to 4,000 watch hours, very difficult. I think I can do it, but it'll be tough. And check out Ed March's channel. He's trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. So I would say that I'm going to race Ed March to 100,000 subscribers, but I think we all know who will win that race. He's way ahead of me. But check out his content. He does great, entertaining videos. He just put up a new one. Writing. Am I doing another book? I always dodge this question. Every time I write a book, and I've now written 2, and then I've been the editor and publisher of another 2, Motorcycle Messengers and Motorcycle Messengers 2. Every time I do a book, I say, that's it, I'm done, no more books. And yet, after some time passes and I relax and I begin to reflect on the journey, I start clicking away at the typewriter. So I can't say no, but I am writing articles, let's put it that way. And I have not been journaling ever since I arrived in Uruguay. So I journaled faithfully all the way from Canada, all the way through the Americas, down to Ushuaia. I journaled all the way back. And in Buenos Aires, I kind of stopped, but then I picked it up again. And then we went to Uruguay, and that's when, boom, COVID-19 closed all of the borders, and I didn't journal and have not started journaling again since. So if I do write another book, I'm going to have my work cut out for me on more ways than one. And people say, oh, this is going to make such a great book. Yeah, such a great book. And I'm not so sure. Like, in my mind, why? Why would that make a great book? I was in Uruguay for 5 months watching Netflix. Now, there's ways that I could frame it and I could make it much more entertaining than just that. But right now, I'm a little bit down in the dumps. Not depressed, just kind of low energy. And that's also to be expected after a trip like this, the post-trip blues or whatever they call them. I think Elle and I are both experiencing that. I'm not going to speak for her, but I know I'm certainly a little bit low energy. Canada Moto Guide, by the way, has all of my previous articles. Motorcycle Mojo magazine, like I say, is publishing the newest article. And if you haven't been listening along to Adventure Rider Radio, I'll leave a link to Adventure Rider Radio below. Elle and I were very grateful to speak to Jim Martin the whole way down. So I talked to him before in the run-up to this trip. We talked about some of the stresses that I was going through, including some condo stressors. I knew that there was a problem looming even before I took this trip, and there was a temptation even to cancel. I'm glad I didn't. But yeah, so monthly podcasts all the way down and all the way back. We just finished up the series, so no more Jeremy and Elle on Adventure Rider Radio. But if you haven't checked them out, there's a nice backlog of material. You can go check that out. And another thing I want to chat about real quick is motorcycle shows. What are we doing this year? I've heard rumors. I have not heard anything confirmed. Are the Canadian motorcycle shows still happening? And if they are, is it responsible to attend? Can we do this safely? Can I afford not to? I told you about the cash call and everything. That's really an important time of year for me, not only to connect with my friends in the motorcycle community, but also to just get my books out there. And a lot of people have made greater sacrifices than not going to the motorcycle shows because of this pandemic. So I've got some questions around that, and I guess we won't really know the answers until the date approaches. If you've heard anything about the motorcycle shows, let me know. I don't want this to turn into a debate about this pandemic and who's right and who's wrong and all these different theories and things like that. I don't think that's helpful. And on the internet, it quickly degenerates. So, leave those comments out. But if you've heard anything about the motorcycle shows, I'd be curious. Any thoughts on next year's events? Horizons Unlimited, Overland Junction, etc. Will you attend if they are a go? Kind of what I was just addressing now. The Horizons Unlimited ones, and Patty Tyson just finished a great event in England, the Overland event. Overland Magazine, by the way, also a great publication. I think you can do those safely because so much of your time is spent outside. The motorcycle shows in Canada in the winter, that's a little different thing. So I'm not sure. I've got question marks about that. Yes, welcome back. Looking forward to the books you just sent. I just sent you some books. Great. Hope they arrive on time. And yeah, so it's good to hear that people have been enjoying the Southward Chronicles on Adventure Rider Radio. I think I'm going to leave it there. That's been 30 minutes of me jawing. I've covered all the main points. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, please, and go check out some of my favorite videos. I've linked to those below. I'm trying to get the watch hours up. I want to do so honestly, though, by producing good content. And if I can't produce good content, or at least better content than I have been producing, then maybe I won't bother. But I'm going to try to do something creative this winter, whether it be writing or whether it be YouTubing. No, I'm not doing any more tub times. But if you do want to check out my former tub times, they are still on my channel. I've made some of my older videos private because the quality was just so bad, but the tub times are still up. Neville Stowe was one of my first guests. Jazz and Bike says, will you be watching Ewan and Charlie? Absolutely. Now, these guys have become such polarizing figures, and I'm a fan. I think that the criticisms of how they travel is valid, but I think it's overblown because They are not only traveling with their motorcycles and doing incredibly long journeys, which is tough under any circumstances, regardless of your budget, but they're also producing like a multi-million-dollar, I assume, documentary series. So if you take the motorcycles out and they just did a documentary series in 10 parts, it would still cost a lot of money. So give Ewan and Charlie and Claudio and the crew, I say give them a break. I enjoy the Long Way Round series. That one so far was my favorite. Long Way Down I also enjoyed, though I felt there was something lacking from the first series, and I'm looking forward to Long Way Up. In fact, on the trip, I was looking for them, and we might have passed them somewhere along the way. I don't know. I definitely saw Long Way Up stickers. Well, one sticker. So I placed a motorcycle therapy sticker like right beside the Long Way Up sticker on the customs window in Argentina and Chile. So if these borders ever open up again, and if we can ever get on our bad motor scooters and ride, look for my motorcycle therapy stickers plastered all over from here to South America, and the occasional Long Way Up. So yes, I will be watching Ewan and Charlie. I appreciate what they're doing for the community. There are people who are haters out there, and you can have a healthy debate about style, but ultimately, if you're on a motorcycle and you're enjoying the ride, then we're all on the same team here. So, for instance, I ride a KLR 650. That's the laughing stock of the motorcycle community. But, I rode it to Argentina and back. So, well, not quite back, unfortunately, but you get the picture. And Elle is always making fun of me because she has a BMW, and then I've got the KLR. But ultimately, we're doing the same thing. And Ed March, check him out. He rides all over the place on a Honda C90. And you can't tell me that he's not having a good time. So, all right. Well, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for tuning in. I've got to pack my stuff. I've got to get my battery. We've got to pile into the car and head to Vancouver to pick up our motorcycles. I might do a YouTube video about that. But if I don't do a YouTube video about that, I will be producing short videos about our previous adventures through Bolivia, Argentina, Chile. There's so much that I haven't covered, and I'm looking forward to watching this YouTube channel grow, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Talk to you later.